Right lads, here we are, welcome back to the channel. Something a little bit different today. I wanted to do one of these last season and I never got round to it, so I thought I'll do it. Probably get a lot of thumbs downs with some of the positions that I put the teams in, but fuck it. I've waited till the transfer window to finish. It's about 11 o'clock on Thursday night, ready for the new season that starts tomorrow. If you are watching this on Friday before about 7 o'clock, there is still chance for you to join my fantasy league over at premierleague.com. Link in the description, joining code in the description. The only rule is you need to subscribe to the channel first. And yeah, if you like the fantasy football stuff, get involved in that. Right, let's move on to the predictions. A couple of decisions hat over head. Some were quite, there's sort of like a cluster of the top 6, then the middle sort of like, 7 down to a 12, and then you've got that little cluster that I don't think are going to go down, and then there's the bottom 4 or 5 that could well be in a relegation battle. So I think never going to get it bang on. I've definitely done 2 heart over head. We'll do 1 at a time. We'll start at 20 and we'll work all our way up to 1. Right, let's get into it. Norwich. I've got them finishing 20th. Now, the main reason I've gone for is that the players that they've brought in are either unknowns or players that aren't really going to set the world alight. Something that Patrick Roberts, decent-ish, bit of a step up. Obviously, he was in Spain last year, then in Scotland with Celtic. Farman, the goalkeeper, good signing, but it's a goalkeeper at the end of the day. Sam Byron, West Ham, good player, perhaps maybe a championship player. I know they've, by the looks of it, they've bought particular players to fit the systems. They've got a couple of boys from Belgium. Once again, I just think they're going to fall short on probably quality. Right, in at number 19, I've gone for Brighton. Couple of reasons. One, I just thought they're on a little bit of a slide. Now, I know that they've changed the manager and it's Graham Potter, and I'd love Brighton to do well this season. Graham Potter was ex-York City. He took a York City ex-youngster to Ostersunds, where he was in Norway, Sweden, and done really well. He has different training methods. He plays good football. I just think that his philosophies might just catch Brighton out. He's strengthened. They've spent a fair bit of money, but they brought in £22 million worth of Adam Webster, which I think they were maybe looking at losing Dunk, who's not gone. So they've kind of strengthened in an area with Duffy and Dunk, where they were probably the most strongest throughout the whole squad. They have added Aaron Moy right at the last sort of like transfer deadline day. He will be a good signing. Neil Maupay, one of those, yes, good for the championship. Needs to make that step up. I think goals is a problem. Obviously, Glenn Murray's not getting any younger. I just don't think, when I look at the signings that they've really made, apart from Aaron Moy, have they really strengthened, and are they going to get the goals that is going to get them out of the relegation? Obviously, Glenn Murray's reaching that age now. They can't rely on him. So I've put him at 19th. I do hope they do better, but I've got him in at number 19. Right, number 18, Crystal Palace. Now, a difficult one, bearing in mind Zaha has stayed. They've had an awful window in terms of players in. They've signed 2 centre midfielders in McCarthy and Camarasa. Neither are going to set the world alight. But bearing in mind they've already got Mihojevic, Coyote, and James McArthur, who is a central midfielder as well. Adding them 2 into the mix of McCarthy and Camarasa, I'm not too sure on that. Obviously, they've managed to keep Wilf Zaha, but despite him maybe being a professional, obviously he's unhappy. I'm not saying he's going to down tools, but there is no chance at all he is going to be as good as what he has been over the last 2 seasons. Bearing in mind that I think without Wilf, they would have definitely been relegated in one of the last 2 seasons, without doubt. They've brought in Jordan Ayew, who was a failed loanee, but they've managed to pick him up. They haven't got that central striker. They've got relying on Benteke, Wickham, Jordan Ayew. I think they're really going to struggle. They brought in Gary Cahill, which I think for most Premier League teams would have been a good signing. But they've got James Tompkins, I know he's average, Scott Dan and Sacco. Martin Kelly can play there, I think. And is it Riederwald? I think he can play there as well. So, and once again, they've strengthened in areas that I don't think they necessarily needed to strengthen in. Probably centre midfield and centre halves. They've got plenty of, but they've managed to pick up 3 players and put them in them positions. So a strange one for me. A strange one. Depends how much of a stink he kicks up, Wilfried Zaha, but I don't think Crystal Palace is a team that is necessarily really excited to start the season. Right, 17, and just avoiding relegation, I've gone for Sheffield United. Couple of reasons. I think they've bought pretty well. They've brought in a little bit of experience in Phil Jagielka. They've brought very good championship players, which is a slight worry. I just think they've got a little bit more about them. Chris Wilder's done a good job with them defensively as well. They've added that quality up front. A lot of people are not a fan of Ollie McBurney, but I think him and Lee, is it Musat from Bournemouth? I think them two up front could be an absolute handful. Ravel Morrison, I don't think we're going to see much of him, but I just have that funny feeling that they might just defy the odds this season. As I said, they've bought pretty well. They've strengthened. They've brought in strikers, which I think when you're moving from the Championship to the Premier League is always really important. I always think that you need to strengthen. If you're looking at these newly promoted clubs, you need to be getting another striker in. So that is Sheffield United. Right, 16, I've gone for Southampton. Mainly because they've not done a great deal of business at all. They've signed Danny Ings for God knows about 18 million, which I think surely must have been a mandatory payment that they had to pay after the loan. Otherwise, I can't see why they've bought him. They've bought Shea Adams. No guarantees he is a good player, but no guarantees that he's going to bang loads of goals in. And it's always a worry when on transfer deadline day, when you're expecting your club to make business, that they announce that Nathan Redmond, had signed a new contract. That generally means there's going to be no news at the club, and they haven't. They've got a guy in from Standard Liège, never heard of him. Doesn't mean that he's not going to be no good, but once again, it's a risk. And obviously, Tommy Scott from Yeovil Town is definitely one for the future. They've not really lost anything in terms of notable departures. Maybe Charlie Austin, but once again, Charlie Austin, Danny Ings, tit for tat, to be honest. So, I think they could struggle. I think they could quite easily be in this sort of like 5 or 6, maybe even 7-team dogfight. I can't imagine them breaking into that safe mid-table. I think they might have a long season ahead of them as well, Southampton. 15, Aston Villa. They've had a very, very busy. Now, people could say it could be Fulham 2.0 because they've brought in so many players. I'm just kind of hoping hoping that it doesn't go like Fulham where they just bought players who were available and just mashed them together. I hope there's maybe a little bit more thought into it. They've signed a bit of Premier League experience with Tom Heaton. Tyrone Mings is a great signing, I think. Matt Targett's played Premier League. They've also signed Wesley. And also to go with the players that they already had. Jack Grealish is going to be big for him. McGinn, got him in my FPL team. So I just think they might have a slow start while they're bedding. Bear in mind, they've had the majority a good couple of weeks now. There's a lot of business early. Wesley came in early. Jota came in early. Tyrone Mings was always kind of there. Matt Targett came in early. Trezeguet's been there a good week, 2 weeks maybe. Tom Heaton will fit straight in. So they may have a slow start, but I've got them in 15th. I just think they'll be fine. They've signed too much quality, I think, this summer. Right, 14. Newcastle United. Steve Bruce. Now, I'm not Rafa Benitez's biggest fan. He sort of like did a great job at Newcastle in doing what he did, budget-wise. But it was boring to watch. It was shit to watch, wasn't it? It was terrible to watch. So I'm just hoping Newcastle have a little bit more about them, a little bit more get up and go, a little bit more adventurous this season. And they've bought well. Obviously, Joe Linton, the striker. Jethro Williams, one of my FM Classic signings when he was at PSV. Used to always pick him up the left back. Andy Carroll, it'd be mint. Everyone loves Andy Carroll, don't they? It'd be good for him to sort of like knock some important goals from during the season. And then Alain Saint-Maxime, I think he's called, winger. A little bit of excitement. And they've got decent enough players in. They've not really lost. They've lost Perez, but then they've got Joe Linton. They've kind of replaced. And obviously with players like Matt Ritchie, is it Almiron, the guy they got from the MLS? He's had 6 months to bed in. I think they've got quite a solid defence as well. I think they'll be all right. I'm hoping that they surprise because I thought Steve Bruce got some absolute pelters when he got appointed for leaving Sheffield Wednesday, but I hope he does well. Right, 13, Burnley. I think they're going to have, despite a difficult season last season, I think they're going to have a good year this year. Couple of reasons. I love saying couple of reasons. Reason one, no European football. That did play havoc. They improved, especially after sort of like the European adventure sort of like wore off and it got into sort of like after Christmas. They really kicked on the second half of the season. I think even though they got knocked out early in Europe, it did have a long-term sort of like 3-4 month impact on the squad. I think they've bought really well. I think Danny Drinkwater, fantastic signing. God knows why he went to Chelsea in the first place. Jay Rodriguez will score him goals. And then they've got, yes, they've lost Tom Heaton, but they've got keepers there to cover. And then they've not really lost anyone else of any note. I think they'll be galvanised again and they'll be ready to go. And I think they'll have a much better season. So I've got Burnley in 13th. 13th to sort of like the cluster of Burnley, Newcastle, Aston Villa and Southampton. I think they could all mingle in various different orders and positions in that one. Right, number 12, I've gone for Watford. I just think the teams that are above them in 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th and 7th are just a little bit stronger and have done better in the summer. They brought in Danny Welbeck. Yes, is that going to knock them on to that next level? No. They brought in obviously Ishmael Assar, which is a good signing, probably the better of the signings. Craig Dawson, good signing, but not going to set the world alight. Obviously, they've kept hold of players. Dukari was probably the biggest one that managed to keep hold of. They've strengthened without really kicking them on too much. They had a fantastic start and they kind of did slow down towards the end of the year. They'll be fine. I can't imagine them getting dragged into sort of like the bottom sort of like cluster of teams, but I just don't think they're going to have the quality to surpass the teams above them, so the Bournemouths, etc. I don't think they're going to be as good as them this year. Right, 11, Bournemouth. They've, I suppose, a little bit like Watford. They've strengthened, but nothing absolutely. Harry Wilson, decent signing. I don't know the guy from Club Brugge. Dan Juma. I'm not even going to pronounce his name. Philip Billing, good signing. I was a bit of a fan of him at Huddersfield. Midfielder, not exactly going to set the world alight. Obviously, the boys that they got from Bournemouth and Luton, good signings, but once again, nothing of real quality. I think the idea is that they keep Fraser fit. I think they've lost Brooks, so I think he's got a bad injury in pre-season. Keeping Callum Wilson fit, I think, is the key. For them, I just hope that they have this where they go on a fantastic run. Just like to see a little bit more consistency from Bournemouth this year. They kind of go up and down. But I've gone for 11th. I think that's on them being inconsistent. I think if they were bang at it and they got players like Jordan Iben, etc. at it, they could finish at no problem, sort of like 9th, 8th, even maybe 7th. But the way Bournemouth are with sort of like a little bit flip-floppy, I've gone for them in 11th. Right, 10th, I've gone for Wolves. They could quite easily finish 9th, 8th, maybe even 7th once again. I'm just unsure of how the new signings are really going to fit in. Obviously, they got Dendoncker back. They've made his move permanent. Jimenez's move permanent. They've got a couple of guys from Portugal, which I imagine, I don't know. We don't know. I don't even know if Wolves fans know actually how good they're going to be. Cutrone is obviously a very good signing, but they've already got Jimenez. Are they going to play the two up front? If they're not, obviously that's not going to make too much of a massive difference. I imagine he's going to stick with his sort of like 3-4-3, 3-4-1-1 or whatever he's been playing. So it'd be interesting to see maybe if he goes with Cutrone and Jimenez up front. I don't know if as a two they work together. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if they've been working in pre-season together. I imagine not. I imagine he's not going with that, and it's maybe a replacement, a rotation for Jimenez. If that's the case, then they've not strengthened that much because it's someone that's maybe not coming into the starting 11 to play alongside him. That with Europe, I think they might do very well in Europe. I imagine they'll probably get through if they get to the group stage, they'll probably even get through the group stage. So that might take its toll on the Premier League. I think they're going to have a real crack at Europe this year. I don't think they're going to do sort of like what the Man United and Arsenal will do and play the sort of like the second string. I think they'll go at it, and then that does tend to affect the league form, especially in the first half of the season when they're playing all them group stage games. So yeah, Wolves 10th. It could be 9th, it could be 8th, but I just think the other teams, the next 3 teams above them, have strengthened really well. The next 3 teams haven't got Europe as a distraction, and that's why I put Wolves in 10th. Right, 9th, I've gone for West Ham. Main reason was because you never know with West Ham what you're going to get. They were very excited at the start of last season, and then what did they lose in the first 4 or 5 games last season? They've strengthened pretty well. Haller, spent a lot of money on him, needs to score goals. They haven't had a really good goal scorer in the Premier League for a long time. And then Fornells looks pretty good. The sort of like the attacking midfield, I'm going to say he's a number 10. Could be wrong. It's just with West Ham as they're very awesome one week, absolutely terrible the next. But keep Declan Rice. It'd be nice to see Declan Rice and Wiltshire sort of like 2 pivots in there, with maybe Fornells. Is it Fornells? I'm going to say Fornells. Fornells ahead of him. Hopefully, if Haller starts banging in the goals, you could see them jump up a couple of places and maybe even challenge for the top 6. But that has got to be every single one of them on top form. I just think the two inconsistent West Ham, but they have strengthened really well. They've got rid of. There's a lot of players that have left. Which might be a good thing. You don't necessarily need a big squad all the time. There were so many players, and so many players not playing makes an unhappy squad sometimes. So obviously let go Carroll, Nasri. We've got else on this list: Perez, Fernandez, Arnautovic, Byram, Obiang. Jordan Hugo was never really one. So there's a lot of players there that have left, and they're only strengthened. They've signed 2 keepers, which are obviously going to be backups. Cardosa, and I think they've signed a young striker from FC Basel as well. And obviously we'll play back up to Haller. They've got Chicharito as well, so you never know. They could be one. It'd be nice to see someone like West Ham have a really good run in a cup this year and treat it. I think these from Burnley, Watford, Bournemouth, Leicester, Everton, West Ham, Wolves. These boys should really have a good crack at both cups this year. It was really disappointing to see last year Leicester played a terrible squad for the FA Cup and they got knocked out. It'd be really good to see a lot of these teams taking their cup competitions a bit more seriously. Right, number 8, gone for Everton. I've gone for heart over head, mainly because I'm putting Leicester in at 7. And that's mainly down to the Brendan Rodgers factor. The only thing I can think of with Everton is why I've not gone from is the manager. I'm still not totally convinced. I'm not sure even if the Everton fans are totally convinced by him, to be honest. They've signed really well. Fabian Delph, Gomez, Gamamim. That centre midfielder, who's obviously a like-for-like replacement for Idrissa Gueye, who's gone. Moise Kean, awesome signing. Is he going to be able to hit the ground running? Sidibe, awesome fullback. Alex Iwobi, decent signing. I just have my reservations about the manager being able to put it all together. I think they've signed really well. They have signed really well. I think central midfield they've really strengthened in there with Gomez, Delph, and the new guy. They've got the striker in. Obviously, they're going to be relying on Moise Kean. He's not he is a youngster, but then they're not looking at someone to be good in 2 or 3 years' time. I think they'll want him to be good now, because I'm pretty sure that would have, if they had got Zaha in, they were quite happy to let Tosun go the other way. So obviously they're relying on Moise Kean to get the goals. If he can get the goals, then you could see him get up even higher. One of the top 6 has a shocking season, then they could well challenge. I'm just not quite convinced he's the man. Everton fans, if you're watching, let me know in the comments. Are you a fan? Marco Silva. I think you've got the players this year. I just don't know if you've got the right man in charge. Right, number 7, Leicester. Yes, self-confessed Brendan Rodgers fan. I would have taken him over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Man United, but unpopular opinion. They've strengthened really well. They've kept hold of. Yes, they've lost Harry Maguire, but I think they'll be okay. They can make plans. I did think they were going to get Lewis Duncan. I have put him in my fantasy football team based on that. That never happened. that never happened. So you could quite easily see them slip down to, once again, with the Wolves, the West Ham, the Evertons, the Leicesters, 7th and 10th. They might be 2 points adrift. They may be 10 points behind. You just don't know. But they've signed. Tielemans was the big one. Perez, I think he's more like going to be an impact. I still think they'll go with probably Maddison and Maddison, obviously, and Vardy up front. Or Maddison, sorry, playing in behind Vardy. I think the key is that they only lost Maguire. They didn't lose Maddison, who was obviously linked to maybe Manchester United, and I'm going to say Arsenal at some point in the summer. Tielemans, that they got in, kept him back on loan. And then James Justin from Luton, very good signing. So yeah, Leicester 7th, could be 8th, could be 9th, could be 10th. I don't see anyone breaking into the top 6 this year. Right, number 6, here we go. The bigger ones that are probably going to cause the most stink, the most thumbs down. Chelsea, 6th. Numerous reasons. They've not been able to strengthen. They've strengthened with Karl Kovacic when I think if they weren't in a transfer ban, they wouldn't have signed him. At that point, they had Drinkwater, Kante, Loftus-Cheek, Ross Barkley. I'm probably missing 1 or 2 centre midfielders. I don't think he adds anything different apart from it being a number, a body, which they could get away with. I am pretty sure that if they didn't have the transfer ban, he wouldn't have signed permanently. They don't have the centre forward. I think that's going to be a big issue for him. I think you need to do better as a top 6 club challenging for top 4 Premier Leagues with a strike force of Giroud and Tammy Abraham. Giroud needs balls in the box, as simple as that. They'll be relying on that. I'm not a fan of Giroud, but I think he plays secondary to your main striker, and he's one. And also they've lost Eden Hazard. Yes, they got in Pulisic, and he's done well by all accounts in pre-season, but he was booted out of the Dortmund team pretty early on by Jadon Sancho. So it'd be interesting to see how well he does. It might take him time to bed in. He's never going to be as good as Eden Hazard. They've lost the best player. They've not been able to strengthen. They've got a new manager, which I do like Frank Lampard, but he didn't set the world alight at Derby. Whether he sets the world alight at Chelsea, I'm going to say no. I hope he does do well, given the time. It's good to see him play some of the youngsters. But once again, the list of outs for them going out on loan is absolutely massive. So yeah, I think they're gonna struggle. I can't see them having a positive season. Even losing David Luiz, they've got the centre halves and they've got enough centre halves. There's just no one in the team that really strikes me as a real leader. They've lost Gary Cahill as well, which he didn't have many games last season, but he's obviously a presence in the club. I just see them falling a little bit flat. I just hope it doesn't go too badly for Frank Lampard. Right, number 5, I've gone Arsenal. Now, they've kind of been boasting that they've had a fantastic transfer window, which they have. I think because they've just spent money. But I just still don't see where the real difference has been. If they're looking at playing the 4-3-3, they're going to have to put Aubameyang out wide. He's all right saying, yeah, front three of Pepe, Aubameyang and Lacazette, but Aubameyang wants to be down the middle. Nicolas Pepe, good signing. It is a good signing, but I wouldn't have spent 72 million on an attacking midfielder. I would have gone centre midfielder, and I would have gone for 2 centre halves. I would have sorted that out. They've got one in David Luiz, but him playing, I think most agrees that he's a liability. He's going to have more to do at Arsenal than what he had to do at Chelsea. If he plays in a back 4, which I think ideally Unai Emery will want to play. And they've lost Koscielny, which I know he didn't feature as much last year, but I don't think they've strengthened in the real areas. Kieran Tierney, good signing. They've strengthened at fullback, but they have got 2 there. Obviously, Kolasinac's not very good, but Monreal's there. They've not. I don't think they've lost one of the other 2. It's a window that Arsenal probably be happy with, because obviously they've got Dani Ceballos in as well. I imagine I've just butchered that name, but they lost Ramsey, so they've not really strengthened. They've just got someone in because they've lost somebody. It'd be interesting to see how he sets them up. I would have tried my hardest to get some kind of formation that would have suited Lacazette and Aubameyang together as a two rather than Aubameyang playing out wide, because he's not a left winger. He's not an inside forward. So we'll see. I just don't think Arsenal have strengthened where they really needed to strengthen. Right, number 4, we are going for Tottenham Hotspur. A decent window. I think Tottenham fans will be really happy. The signings that they've made, obviously Jack Clark's gone back on loan, but and Ndombele I think will be really good in centre midfield. Celso will be really good in midfield. Them two potentially have the... Tottenham could quite easily finish second if Celso and Ndombele start like that and absolutely on it. They keep Harry Kane fit. They've got Son, Dele Alli. I'm not the biggest fan of Eriksen anyway, but obviously they've still managed. They've kept hold of him. Lucas Moura. Fullback's a little bit of an issue because they've let go Treq and Trippier, but obviously they've got Aurier, which is a dodgy one, but he seems to be up with Kyle Walker-Peters and Foyth, the young Argentinian. So I don't know, they could quite easily finish second just based on... I think that all depends on how well Ndombele and Celso do together in the midfield. A lot of energy in there, a lot of running. Celso likes to get on the ball and get past people. I think Tottenham are going to be even better to watch this year. I think they've strengthened really well. Obviously, Man United I've not said about yet. I've gone for heart over head with them. I have got confidence in Man United to do okay this year. I'm putting that on the basis that the teams above them are all having really good seasons, but I can quite easily see in Tottenham finish second. Right, number 3, I've gone for my beloved Man United. I think we've done all right in transfer window. Losing Lukaku, obviously the big disappointment was losing Herrera and not being able to strengthen in there. I think if we'd have kept Herrera and we'd have had another body, obviously he's looking at playing 4-2-3-1 and having probably Pogba and I would probably say Matic or McTominay sitting. If we lose Pogba, I think that's an issue. I think if we lose 2 centre midfielders for a amount of period of time, then we really are going to be struggling. I think he's looking at playing like a number 10. Could be Mata, could be Lingard. Good to see Rashford down the middle. Mayashale's done well. Daniel James has done well. Obviously, Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka are going to go straight in, strengthen the back 4. I even sometimes thought the centre halves weren't necessarily the problem. It was sometimes the guys in front of them. So they've had a pre-season under Ollie. He's got them fitter. They've done all right in pre-season. They've not got rid of a lot of players, but at the same time, I'm quite happy that they've not let people go on the cheap just because they wanted to leave. We ended up getting good money for Romelu Lukaku. We kept hold of De Gea. The back line looks much stronger. Can we get a tune out of Sanchez at some point? I really like Sanchez. I really hope. I don't know what he's been like in around the club. I just hope he hasn't down tools. And he's going to give it a proper go. If we get him playing, then we'll be laughing, won't we? So yeah, I've gone for Man United. They could quite easily finish 6th like Chelsea, but I think we're not expected to do as well. I think he's got the squad pretty much tighten it together, keeping hold of Pogba. As long as he's not an absolute disaster and has a good crack at it, I think Man United will surprise a few people this year. Let me know in the comments what you think to that. Heart over head, obviously. I'm thinking best case scenario for Manchester United. Once again, though, if Liverpool have an absolute stinker, Tottenham don't perform, then you never know. Man United do, 2nd place. But yeah, I think third is generous. I think if Man United get Champions League football this year, we'll be very, very happy with that. Right, number 2, Liverpool. I can't see them getting as many points as what they did last year. We all know that they haven't strengthened. I think the worry is when teams around you strengthen, but maybe taking out the fact of Chelsea, Tottenham in particular, Man U look better, Man City, even Arsenal have strengthened. You run the risk of falling behind. They've lost Daniel Sturridge, which, didn't play an important part, but what they're going to do if one of them front 3 got injured? I know they've relied on Origi. If they lost, say, Mane for 3 weeks, but then they lost Salah at the same time for 2 months, a big impact on the squad. Salah didn't have as good a season what he had the previous year. Is he going to be able to replicate what he did 2 years ago? Is Mane going to be able to replicate that? they just, for me, the squad. I know they've got Ryan Brewster back, Ryan Brewster playing, sorry, and the Ox back. Obviously counts as another signing. I just think they could have just added a centre forward in there, just a proper number 9. And then they could have afforded to have Firmino out wide in certain games. Mane, Salah, Origi, I suppose, can do that. I just think they could have just signed maybe one. And maybe it's easier said than done, signing one player, a striker. But I'm pretty sure Liverpool could have found someone. Now, bearing in mind, I imagine Daniel Sturridge started a few games for him. So they've lost that. They've lost that impact. So yeah, I don't see them getting closer to Man City. I don't see Man City weakening either. So obviously I've gone for Man City at number 1. The thing I like about Man City is they just strengthen where they need to strengthen, and that was looking at a long-term replacement for Fernandinho. Centre half, yeah, maybe. But they've got Stones, Laporte, Otamendi. They get Mendy fit. Obviously they've signed Cancelo, which is a really good signing. I think they'll be alright. They don't obviously want to lose 2 centre-halves to injuries. But Laporte was really good. John Stones just needs to play. Yes, they've lost Vincent Kompany, but over the last 2 years, did he really have a huge impact on the pitch? I think that the one thing Man City will miss will be him in the changing room and in and around the club. I think they're really driven to carry on Champions League. He'll be pushing for that. I don't think it'll be an expense of the league. The squad's incredible. With Rodri in there as well. They've lost Sane, but then they've got Sterling, Bernardo Silva that can obviously play out there. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll win again this year. Just bearing in mind, Liverpool. This could have been the year for Liverpool if they'd have just kicked on and got a couple of big players, really 2 bigger players in. It could have been the year where I might have just put Liverpool above Man City. But I'm more thinking that Liverpool haven't done enough in the summer to really push them past City over the course of the season. I don't think. So yeah, that's my 20. Let me know in the comments what you think. Yeah, you'll say some things are bullshit, which is fine. It's football. That's why it's the best sport in the world, because everyone has a different opinion. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned. Next week I'm going to be doing my FM20 saves video. What saves I'm going to be doing across the channels. Over the course of next season. Plenty of FM content. I've also got the Fantasy Football League. I'm doing monthly videos on that. So subscribe to the channel. If you like fantasy football, subscribe to the channel. Join my FPL league. And then there'll be monthly videos, monthly prizes, top prizes, football manager game for the winner. Free of charge to entry. Hopefully, I think I'm up to about 42 teams. It'd be great to get to 50 in the final day before the 7 p.m. deadline. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and hopefully I'll see you very soon. See ya.